So welcome everyone. Good wine gal Barb Wild here in beautiful, sunny, hot Kelowna. It's July the 7th, and with me is Manpreet Dhaliwal. Welcome, Manpreet.
Hi, Barb. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so the reason I'm having Manpreet on is A, she's gorgeous, B, she's youthful, and C, she makes wine. So, yay! I'm gonna just read a little bit about you, Manpreet. Because actually, Manpreet and I have met in person maybe twice, but she is someone who's building a legacy and really taking wine in the valley to a whole new level and to a whole new crowd. Honestly, I think there you're opening up some pathways to folks who may not have considered wine or may have considered it, but not considered the way that you are shaping and making it. So the reason this call is actually happening is I got 3 bottles of rosé. That was amazing. So Infinity, Phulkari, and
And the Kamal Rosé.
the Kamal Rosé. And it's rosé season, so I think this is a totally appropriate conversation. But just FYI, everyone, I've got Phulkari here. We're going to open it up and we're going to sip and talk. But I'm just going to introduce Manpreet. So Manpreet Dhaliwal is the head winemaker at Kismet Winery in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada. And you are the first and only South Asian female head winemaker in the country. I think that's pretty cool. And not only that, but she's also a 30 under 30 for business in BC, which is huge.
That was a
Isn't
huge
that,
honor.
yeah, like honestly, I can tell you when I was like 29, I was like, wonder what I could do to get 30 under 30. I wasn't even close. I wasn't
Hey,
even
I'm right
close.
there. I barely made the cut too.
But what a great honor. For women in wine and for women in general, I think this is something that whether you like it or not, we're all climbing on your back and we're like, take us with you because this is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so maybe you tell me, where did you study?
So my background's actually in nursing. That's what I
That
went to school
Wait,
for.
wait, 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 wait. So she's looking after patients and now she's looking after different patients.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
that's exactly right. Yeah, different types of patients. But I actually, yeah, my background's in nursing. I went to school in Kelowna for nursing, and I actually worked as a nurse for 4 years as well before transitioning into winemaking. Um, when I went to school, I was even in the summers, I was coming home, I was helping to manage the tasting room, polishing glasses. When I was 15 years old, I've always been very involved in the family business from day one. But during school, I would come back home in the summers. While I was working as a nurse, I would go casual, and then I would come home again from May to September to help out in the tasting room as well. Um, so it's kind of my background, but 2022 is when I really had that pivotal moment of I either go back to my nursing job or I go help in the cellar because I was always fond of science and that was kind of my strong suit in school as well, which is kind of why I went into the nursing healthcare field. Little did I know it was going to bring me here. So I jumped into the cellar in 2022 because that was, I'm sure you're familiar, it was a very, very heavy crop. It was a bumper crop in the valley. There was so many grapes and nowhere for them to go. Very heavy year for Kismet as well. We did triple what we normally do on a normal year. So that was the year that our previous winemaker was looking for all hands on deck. So instead of going back to my nursing job, I actually jumped into the cellar, helped crush, helped with harvest, went out and got, grape samples when he needed them, and helped out the entire process of just getting all the fruit in. Once we got all the fruit in, they no longer really needed my help. But I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not quite ready to go yet. I'm gonna stay, and I'm just gonna, whether you need me or not, like, I'll find ways to help. So I started doing lab analysis here, and I started helping with pump overs, and started helping wherever I could. And it was such a heavy year. Like there were nights that we were crushing up until 1 a.m. and then you're back at 6 because wine doesn't wait for you. You got to work when you got to do the work. So it was a very, very heavy year, but it was a very foundational year for me. And that was kind of that pivotal moment where I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to get more involved in the family business rather than go back to my nursing job.
well, nurses like wine, apparently. So not only did you transition into the right category, but now you can make it all for them.
That's right.
But Kismet is a significant property.
Yes, you're
600,
quite large.
600 acres or something
Just
crazy?
just about, yeah, give or take 600 acres. And I mean, that didn't come all at once. We
Of
started very,
course.
very small as well. Just to give you a little bit of background on Kismet as well, if you don't know, Kismet actually translates to destiny or like meant to be or fate.
Mm,
And that kind of ties right back into our story as well, because it was my dad and my uncle. They actually immigrated to the Okanagan, directly to the Okanagan back in 91 and 92. And back then, I'm sure you know there wasn't 240 something wineries up and down
no,
the
no.
like Mission Hill Covert Farms, the Burrowing Owl was just starting up. So it really was the beginning of the wine industry when they arrived. And they actually started working for Covert Farms, Mission Hill, Burrowing Owl. Slowly learned the trade, and they were really, really hard workers because they came
I
here with.
bet.
My dad tells me this story all the time. He came here with $5 in his pocket,
Yeah,
and was getting paid $5 a day to do this work.
yeah.
So it took a lot of hard work, but they slowly acquired some of their own property. And you fast forward to today, after a lot of hard work, we are the largest independent growers of grapes within this entire
Mm,
South Okanagan Valley. So we're right underneath the big three,
amazing, amazing.
producers and supplying a lot of that fruit to a lot of other wineries up and down the valley so that people can, use our grapes to make their wines. But of course, we save that best 10% of the crop, the cream of the crop out there for Kismet's wine. So we do
Mm,
believe we're truly getting the best of the best here. But Kismet,
yeah.
never did we think coming here as an immigrant family with no knowledge of vineyards, of grapes, let alone winemaking, we would be where we are today. So we truly believe it was, arriving at the right time, making those right connections along the way, and just truly believing in your philosophies, in your mantras, and that's what gets you to where you are. Yeah.
I think that's very well said. Without a vision or a dream, like,
Yeah,
so I think that's a beautiful thing. And the other part of that is the heritage of your family and how that connects to what you call the wines, what you pair with the wines. Like for me,
absolutely.
that's so exciting. I mean, Canada's multicultural. Like we're a melting pot of craziness, in my humble opinion. And we welcome everyone here. And like the Okanagan Valley is so rich with international community, expat, whatever you call it, like French, you know, Alsatian or Austrian or German or,
Yeah.
Kiwis and Aussies. And like we welcome
We've
everyone.
got it all going on. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
It's a very
makes,
important aspect for the culture piece of it as well, because you're right, we do keep a lot of our wine names instead of just, we could call it a white meritage, but
ah,
we call it, white in our language. So Safed, which is one of our most popular whites, and then there's Kamal, which means lotus flower, and also has its own, beautiful story why we call it that. Moksha and mantra, they all just kind of tie into Kismet. They're all philosophies and aspects of Kismet, what makes
they
your Kismet.
all tie into destiny.
I'll tie into destiny. Absolutely.
And how does it feel for you to be shepherding this part of the story?
Honestly, it's such an honor. Again, I did not think I would be here as well, making these award-winning
Yeah.
wines just 3 years into winemaking, given my background. So it's, yeah, it's been a
You're
big
like,
change.
wait.
Right? I'm not gonna lie, I had a bit of imposter syndrome at first, because I am a woman of color, and when I started doing this, I was only 26 years old. So, people didn't look at me seriously. And even when I was in the cellar,
Um,
it's like I have the no shade to men, but I have the men in the cellar saying, "Are you sure you can carry that pump? Are you sure you can do this? Like, do you need help?" And I'm like, I'm not fragile. I can do this.
mm,
So I think
hmm
a lot of that ties into a little bit of that imposter syndrome that I was feeling that first year for sure. Because 2023, that's when I really jumped in and I took over that head winemaker role because our previous winemaker took a step back, and blessing in disguise, that winter freeze, it wasn't such a heavy year. I was able to work with
Right.
such smaller quantities. So 23 and 24, those were practice years for me, which was a
Yeah.
bit of, for me, a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But in 23, I put out four of my first wines, two whites and two rosés, and then my Pinot Grigio went on to win, national accolades. So that was a bit of the pat on the back that I needed, to let me know that I'm in the right place and I can do
Well, right. Right. And I mean, honestly, it's a terrifying moment when you don't know. And oh, my wines are going to go into the award, the
Oh,
tasting, the
yeah.
blind tasting pile, and judges are gonna like take a look at
Yeah.
this and like, they're
Yeah.
going to
And I was not,
like,
I was not expecting that at all because Kismet, by the time I stepped into this role, we had been around for 10 years. So we had a following, a good club member base, and people expect consistency and the same quality. So it was definitely big shoes to fill, that's for sure.
yeah. So then in 20, well, so what's interesting, I think, is 2023 and 2020, like, look, the last 5 years have been crazy.
It's been a whirlwind, lots of up and downs. Yeah,
And yet if you said to someone, how would you plan it? You would never plan it like this.
absolutely not.
But somehow, that's the silver lining, don't you think?
That's just it. Yeah, so at least in my story.
Yeah. And then to be recognized by, I mean, business in Vancouver, that's a big deal. Or BC, what is it? BC Business,
Business, yeah.
top 30
About
under
30 under
30.
30. Yeah, yeah, it
And
was
you're
huge.
like, I'm with all the tech bros and I
Yeah.
make wine. They'll be like,
Exactly what it was. That was another space where I was, before I even, tried for that, I was telling my family, like, you know what, like, should I even do it? Like, I'm not in business. I'm just making wine in the cellar and just
yeah,
wearing my boots with
yeah,
my hair. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did not, I honestly, I'll tell you the truth, I was not going to do it. But then I was pushed to do it, and it still went
Of
on to make the
course.
list, which was,
Of
again, that was another moment for me where it's like, believe in yourself. Like,
yeah,
you do belong in these rooms, you do belong
yeah,
on these lists, and especially
yeah,
for our entire wine industry. I mean, I think that's the first, not the first big list, but it's a pretty big list for the South Okanagan wine industry as a
yeah,
whole to be listed on. So I was super proud to be able to even just represent not just my family, but the entire
yeah,
industry as a whole on that list. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you took a risk. I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like you're a little bit of a risk taker. Oh, I'm in nursing. Oh, I'm a winemaker.
I guess so. Yeah. For perfectionist, yeah, I guess that is a bit of risk taking.
But like, so you are in the company of many amazing women. And I
Mhm.
hope that when my work culminates into a beautiful gathering of all of us sitting around a room holding hands or whatever we're going to be doing, maybe we'll be doing yoga or something. But it's really important to find those key elements that kind of were difference makers because I think we want to make sure that other women feel it's okay to step into a role in this industry and to not be afraid, you know?
Yeah, and I was actually approached because we didn't even realize this. We didn't realize that I was going to be the first South Asian winemaker, but I had a lot of people approaching me saying this to me, and I was like, "Well, am I? I don't know. I might be." Like and then we looked into it, and it was true. So, and I had a lot of even just younger girls that I went to high school with, or they work in other tasting rooms and such. I had them approach me as well and say, like, that's so cool. Like, how did you do this? Like, we didn't think that that
Right,
was something that we
right,
could do. Like, especially
right,
in our culture, there's a huge
right.
farming population of Indian families here, but it's generally, the males that take that on. It's always the sons of the family or the brothers or the grandsons that take on that role. It's not really traditionally women. So I had a lot of Punjabi girls approach me as well and say, well, how did you do that? Like, what conversations were you having with your families that made this even an opportunity for you? And
Yes.
that's what shocked me when I realized that this actually is such a big deal because
Mm.
these girls really don't think this is a space for them. So it
Sounds
was,
like you have a very special family, right? Sounds
we
like you
do.
have people in your immediate family cheering for you. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, like, is that your mom or your dad or who?
So that's I honestly, it's every single one of them. We're a very big family. Ever since my dad and my uncle arrived together in 91, we've stuck together. So we're a very big joint family. There's
How
11,
many is big? Tell me the number.
11. 11 people in one household. So it's quite a bit. Yeah. But yeah, my parents, obviously my dad and my uncle, they've been huge influences on my work ethic and just always keeping me on the right path and, just always backing me up when I sometimes don't believe in myself, as well as my mom and my aunt and my sister as well, who's also very involved in the business since day one. She's really been a huge support and a huge person that just helps push me out of my comfort zone, and
Mhm.
pushes me for things that I wouldn't normally do on my own. So I would say honestly, it's every single one of them.
Mhm.
Not a single
Well,
person can do that.
it's a
But yeah.
gift. It's a gift. It's your destiny. And to be celebrated. So I think maybe we should open this up. There's my
Time.
camera. There we go. Oh, I keep turning it the wrong way. There we go. Up, up.
You almost had it.
It's funny with Zoom. You have the settings and it
The
wants to
focus. Yeah.
autofocus and it's just mostly blurry. So thank God. Thank God it's blurry on my face because, my skin looks so youthful in this.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, let's just pour
Yeah.
this because like it's super beautiful. I think the color is gorgeous. What I liked about the wines that were sent is, was it Infinity, the first one?
Infinity.
It
Yes.
was a beautiful color, and I tasted it with Leah Spooner from Ontario, and it's a previous video, and we both like she doesn't have it, but I got to tell her about it, and the wine itself was fantastic,
Thank
and
you
some
so much.
yeah, and then somehow getting off the call and scrolling through the awards because she was one of the judges of the All
Okay, very
Canadians.
cool. Yes.
Hmm.
Well, thank you for that gold, Leah.
Yes. Yes. And then she was like, I think I had one of those. Anyway,
Oh, very cool.
it was pretty cool to see Infinity got a gold. So
Yeah.
anyway, beautiful color. I haven't tried it yet. It's chilled. Sometimes I like wines to just not be so cold, but
Yeah, this was a very special wine to me as well, which is why I had chosen it for today.
okay.
Phulkari is it's actually one of the first wines that I had put out on my own. So 2023, of course I was just like, you know what, can I do what the previous winemaker was doing? Can I make the same 12 wines that Kismet was making before? And we did that, but then 2024 hit, and of course it decimated our crop even further. So we weren't able to make Infinity. We weren't able to make the Kamal. We weren't able to make a lot of our reds, most of our whites. Um, so that was the year that I kind of had to, again, go out of my comfort zone and do some trial and error and try to come up with something else. So I put out my 2024 Phulkari. We did a whole bunch press method on the Syrah and the Cab Franc that goes into that. And it turned into just such a beautiful wine. And it was, again, um, my first debut wine. It was the first time Kismet had ever seen this Phulkari Rosé, and it went on to win again national accolades as a double gold medal. So again,
Wow.
that was another pat on my back, but it was a truly special moment for me because I'm like, you know what? I'm no longer doing something that someone else was doing. This is
Yeah.
truly me. This is my
Yeah.
work that I set out to do and I was able to do. So again, another risk that I took doing that whole bunch press method, and it really
Yes.
worked out well.
Look at
Um,
you. Look at you
and the
go.
name, thank you. Yeah. And the name as well, Phulkari. So that actually translates to like floral patchwork. So you'll see that the label has all these
Mhm.
little flowers on it, and it doesn't look like our typical labels. Because Phulkari was just supposed to be a one-off in that vintage, but again, it gained such a following, and our wine club members loved it, and there was no way that it wasn't coming back. So we brought it back again this year, and Phulkari actually translates to floral patchwork,
Mhm.
because I find that it kind of has floral notes to it as well. It's very floral, very juicy palate. Um, but Phulkari also is a traditional piece of clothing that Indian women wear in Indian events. So if you've ever been to an Indian wedding and you see women wearing those big colorful shawls with lots of colorful patchwork all over them, that's called a Phulkari, and it's actually hand embroidered, and it um, is very significant in Indian culture. So we felt that it was very fitting with what myself and my sister are now doing with Kismet, and it
Oh.
was a bit of our tribute to the women behind the scenes as well, because
Mm.
everyone knows Suki and Belwinder, the men behind Kismet, but
Just the
what
same.
about the women behind Kismet? So now with my sister and I in
Mhm.
charge, we felt that it was very fitting, as well as my mom and my aunt, who are, they're truly the backbones of our business. None of this would be possible without them. So
Mhm.
Phulkari is an overall very, very, very special wine to us for many
I
reasons.
love I love that. So you say full curry or
Phulkari, yeah,
full curry. So
Phulkari, yeah.
I think I think when you have I'm going to get a little markety branding. But when you
Yeah.
have a overarching brand like Kismet and there's a story there, and then you have each bottle which also has a story and a special name, I think
Yeah.
it becomes very powerful in terms of storytelling. And what is
Absolutely.
wine? Wine is a story, and what is the story today? Well, for me, this is a lovely, I had the label up wrong again, but it's a lovely, aromatic, rich, full-bodied style of rosé for me. And it's my first wine today, so I could be totally off. But it's also got like power, it's got balance. There's this lovely, the balance for me is the acidity, and there's this like little bit off dry. So there's this lovely thing going on at play. It's very versatile. You can have it on its own, you can have it with food. I want you to
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about the grapes that are in it because I think you said
Yeah. So this one,
Syrah.
it's typically we do Syrah, Cab Franc, Cab Sauv. I believe this year we added a little bit of Merlot and a touch of Malbec into it as
Oh my
well. So it's got a little
God.
bit of that jamminess. It's got a little bit of that, that herbaceousness that comes from the Cab Franc. A lot of, like candied notes from that whole bunch press that we do on the Syrah, like a little bit of like bubble gum. So there's lots going on. I was kind of going for more of a complex rosé where you go in and you pick up something else. So we've blended quite the variety of grapes in this guy.
But this is not Jolly Rancher fruity. This is
Yeah.
layers and
Like
layers
just
of,
subtle. Yeah.
yeah,
Very subtle on the
it's
palate.
quite sophisticated, I would say. It's very complex. And the
Thank you.
finish, when we talk about, well, how long is the finish? It's
Yeah.
lengthy. It's lengthy. So, yeah. And you sell this online and in stores, or where can people?
We're not in too many stores. We're still a very, very small winery because again, we sell most of our grapes off. So we're still under the 10,000 case count. This one you can right now only find it in the tasting room or online.
Perfect. But
Yeah.
I'll put in the link for the notes that where
Yeah,
people can find it. But
absolutely.
about how many cases, like, so I got three beautiful rosés in my box, and I was like, like, was that 300 cases a rosé or a
Yeah.
thousand?
Yeah. So we do just 300 of each.
Oh, okay. So it is, and you said less than 10,000. So when you're making wine, who are you thinking about? Like, what are you thinking? Is it for the wine and the grapes, or is it for people around a table? Or, like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Is it
Our
colors?
whole, yeah, our whole concept at Kismet is we're all about balance. We're all about, what we want is for somebody to walk into our tasting room and to not feel like they need to be a certain way or behave a certain way in order to taste wine or like wine. You know what I mean? We want it to be
Right.
approachable. We want it to be accessible. We want everybody to walk in and at least find one bottle of wine that they feel like they can connect with or drink or enjoy.
Right.
So
Right.
everything about us is approachability and balance and just keeping it simple and easy and not overcomplicating it. Where we do that sometimes, I'll geek out as well about wine and it gets super overcomplicated, but our whole goal is just to keep it simple, keep it approachable. One of our most popular wines is actually a red blend. It's our Karma. It's a Merlot-based Bordeaux style, but again, a lot of Bordeaux styles they can get a bit heavy, they can get super oaky. But our Karma is just medium. It's smooth. It's very approachable and easy drinking. Um, and then for our whites, we stick to more of the cleaner profiles. So we're all about just fresh aromatics, very cool fermentations to keep those delicate floral aromas alive, and just keeping it on the drier side as well. Our Kamal is probably as like juicy as it gets for our profile, but we do prefer to keep
Okay.
everything on the dry side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so this is delicious and the infinity is delicious. And now I'm like, can't wait to make a journey down and try some more. But
Perfect.
good for you. It,
Thank you.
it takes a lot of technical merit to be able to assort and sort of keep a tally about, you've got tanks and barrels and these grapes
Oh
here.
yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to have it all in your head, but you've got like a playlist kind of.
Yeah, you do need to be very, very organized because again, there's so many moving parts and you're sitting on multiple different vintages all at once as well. So, you can't forget about one while you're working on the other. So there is lots of moving parts, especially during harvest. Whereas even for us, we farm such large quantities and it's not always easy for logistics because we have pick orders from other wineries, but then we also have to get ours in. So there's a lot of moving
Yeah.
parts, a lot of logistics, a lot of planning that goes into it,
Yeah.
especially during harvest. So you do really need to stay organized. I would say Google Sheets is one of my best friends during that period.
Do you have a favorite experience so far in the making of wine, or is there, maybe this is question number two. So do you have a
Yeah,
favorite experience, and is there something that when you wake up in the morning is like you're excited? Like what is the thing?
yeah, I would say that's harvest for me. I feel like the adrenaline that I'm sure all other winemakers agree, but during harvest, the adrenaline rush that you get and that high that you get during harvest is like you're constantly chasing that year after year. So even now I'm looking at the clock, it's July and I'm like, harvest is around the corner again. Can't wait because that rush that you get when you're crushing with your team and you've got music on and everybody's just vibing, having a good time and that's work for me. So I feel super lucky that I get to do that for work as well. And it's a really exciting time to just get to go out into the field and collect samples and it's almost like a buzz. You get a bit of a buzz from it. So I would definitely say harvest overall. I wouldn't say I have a favorite moment or favorite experience, but I would say harvest overall is probably my favorite part of this entire gig.
Well, I heard it's going to be a little early this year. Is that what you're
Yeah,
seeing?
yeah, we're seeing it's about a week to 10 days early, and it's looking just as heavy as last year. But we're doing a lot of bunch thinning out there to make sure quality stays high. But it is looking like a very, very heavy year again. Yeah. Another 25, another 22.
Woohoo! Well, at least it's not yeah, but at least it's not a 21.
Or a
And,
23. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have, viticulture plays a large role. We say this, wine is made in the vineyard.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I fully agree with that. I'm very lucky that I have such experienced viticulturists that have been doing this for 35 years. But even now, I get to go out and I get to actually work along their side and learn that trade as well. And they're now starting to trust me on, picking times because I'm able to go out and I can, I'll test the sugars for them and I'll test the acid levels and the pH levels. There's so much that you have to test to know exactly when to pick the wine. So I'm able to now get involved in that as well and, say my piece. But I do truly believe that it starts in the vineyard, it's like right at the time that you pick it, as well as before that, where you plant it, the vintage that year, the climate, whether it's a rainy year, whether it's a hot year. There's so much that goes into that. But we do believe that it starts in the vineyard. And as soon as you pick that grape, it's on us to just not mess it up. You know what I mean? So we try to stay very limited intervention here as well. We do use oak, but we try to just, even limited oak as well as much as we can because we want the wine to just speak for itself. We want it to reflect the grapes and the vineyard that it comes from instead of just covering it in oak or covering it in, tannins and whatnot. So we do try to stay very limited for intervention because I do believe that, yeah, a great wine starts in the vineyard.
Yeah. And do you think, you know, well, your climate, do you want to talk a little bit about where you are and the climate, like the terroir that you're
Yeah,
seeing?
so we are a little bit all over the place because it's hard. So I don't think I can narrow that down for you, but we're very lucky that we do get to play around with lots of different terroirs, lots of different climates. I would say a lot of our best vineyards are actually further down south, which is where we get a lot of our best reserve reds or higher end wines. And it's if you're familiar with the Suez Lake, it's the east bench in Suez, it's just overlooking Hayes Point. I would say that's one of our best plots of land,
Oh,
as well as we've got a couple pieces that are around the lake there as well, just under Spirit Ridge, as well as just on site as well here at Kismet because we do have a little lake on site. It's not a Sweet Lake, but it's another little lake
oh,
on site.
cute.
Um, it's called Mirror Lake. It's a nice little wedding venue there as well. But I feel that the properties that are by that water influence do really really well as just being further down south and getting that extra sunshine as well.
Well, you get a lot of sunshine year round.
We do, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of wind? Like, The
We do.
yeah,
We do. We're seeing that more and more this year, not this year,
yeah.
but I would say in the past 10 years. It wasn't always like this, but we're seeing extremes. Very, very windy summers, which was not very normal, I would say 10 years ago. And some people say that may have to do with, less and less orchards being planted, whereas big
Mhm.
orchard trees and cherry trees would sometimes act as a bit of a buffer for that wind that was coming through. So now that we're seeing less and less orchards, that could play into why we're seeing a little bit more wind as well. But definitely getting windier than the valley.
Mhm. And did you lose, like, we had that terrible, well, we lost what, 50% of the crops in 2022 December, and then 95% of the harvest in 2024 January. So how did that affect you guys?
It definitely affected us quite a bit. Farming that large, we were still lucky that we were able to harvest grapes in 23 and 24. To give you number reference for just what Kismet does, on a normal year, let's say we do anywhere from like 100 to 150 tons of grapes. That was in 2023, we brought in just around like 80 to 90. So cut that in
Half, yeah.
half. And then 2024, we did about 40. So it was cut in half again. So we did have to do a lot of replanting. We are still doing
Did you?
replanting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
still working on that. So everything we replanted in 23, we're going to start seeing that crop now, which is great. So we're starting to get back to full production, but we're not quite there yet. So we're still feeling the effects of 23
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
24.
It's a
Yeah.
lingering effect, isn't it? And what are you planting?
So we actually took those years as a chance to restructure because we're able to, again, pick and choose terroirs and pick and choose different sites.
Mm.
So um, we took that as a learning curve. We took that as a learning opportunity. And instead of planting, let's say, Pinot Gris down south, we're going to be planting Petit Verdot and Cab Franc and
Right.
maybe a bit more
Right.
winter hardier grapes,
Right.
and then all the Pinot Gris, planting it a bit further north. So we took those years to just restructure a bit overall. Um, a lot of wineries were afraid to replant Syrah because that was one of the grapes that got hit really, really, really hard. And it's a very finicky grape. It's a very sensitive grape to work with. So that is one that we didn't completely give up. We did replant it, but we're just planting it further down south where we think it'll have a better chance of survival if this were to happen again.
Right. But
And
so the soils down south are sandy? Would we generalize like that or not so much?
gravel, there's clay down there as well. I don't think we can generalize just to
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Depends on the bench, depends on the site. Yeah.
Yeah. So the grapes for Phulkari, where did they come from?
So those come from our site here at Kismet. I've got a lot of Cab
Mhm.
Franc planted just around here, and then as well as Syrah, that's just about a kilometer down south, as well as our Merlot, and then our Malbec actually comes from one of our East Bench sites in Asuya. So it's reaching that full ripeness, which
Oh
is why
my.
you get that just super jammy, almost cherry notes from.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's a little bit all over, but it's comes from our site here on Road 20 and then south.
But beautiful. Like, how fun. It's like
Yeah.
painting. You're like, okay, we're going to use a little bit of this red and then a little bit of that red, and we're going to paint a sunset.
My biggest lesson has to have been just have fun. I work with a mentor as well, Bertus Alberton, who's been a huge help within my entire winemaking journey. And the biggest thing he tells me as well is, let go of control. Like you cannot have it be perfect. It's going to do what it wants to do, and it's just have fun with it. So it's good to hear you say that as well, because it's what I keep hearing from other people in the industry as well.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
paint your own picture, you lean into whatever's going on, and you craft something that you hope is good, and then look at you. Then it wins awards,
Yay!
and you're like, well, I'm sorry.
We did it again. Yeah.
Yeah, but harvest. So you love harvest, but you're like, go to bed at 1 in the morning and get up at 6 in the morning. Like, that's hard.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy, but again, it's that rush that you get of just it's only those few months that you're going to get to
Yeah,
do that. So you
yeah,
power through, but you just love it. You love that rush and that adrenaline that you get from it.
yeah. Do you do any celebrations? I mean, in some parts of the world, they start throwing grapes on each other or grape juice or whatever, whatever.
So we actually do we throw an event at Kismet overall. Because right at the around usually around the end of harvest is Diwali, which is a festival that we celebrate in
Yeah.
India. So Diwali is the big festival of lights. And we actually celebrate that right around the end of harvest. So we throw a big party and we invite club members and staff and workers as well. And the entire team gets together and we throw a big, it's a huge dinner party essentially with dancing and drinking and food and then fireworks at the end of the night. So we definitely celebrate very, very well at the end of
Yeah,
that.
sounds like no fun at all.
Yeah.
Wine is fun. So
Well,
tell me culturally though, is wine associated with your culture? With the, I
I
mean,
mean, no,
I do yoga every day, but that's not quite the same thing, you know, but like there's a lot that I don't know anything about. So forgive me if I'm, way
yeah,
off on a tangent, but please share the,
yeah, absolutely. So, wine isn't something that you would normally think about pairing with food. Even before we opened up Kismet, before we opened up our restaurant on site here, you go to Indian restaurants and you're having water, you're having beers, you're having
yeah,
soft pop, something fizzy. Um, no one ever really reaches for wine, which is why a lot of Indian restaurants that you go to won't really have a huge extensive wine list. But I feel that in 2016 we started just serving little pakoras and serving little snacks in our tasting room with the wine. And we just, we thought it would just be a fun pairing. Like people do chocolate and wine, people do cheese and wine. Like let's bring our culture into it. Let's just do pakoras and wine. And the response that we got was insane. Like we had people
I
wanting to
bet.
come back and do takeout orders. They're like, "How do we get more of this?" And I want a jar of that sauce, and I want more of this. And like the response we got was huge. So that's when we actually decided to show people that this is what we do at home as well. Like we opened up Kismet in 2013, and we were having our own wine at home with traditional meals at home, and it was working really well. It was actually complementing our meals at home. And we put it out in 2016 to our tasting room customers, and it was very well received. So 2016, we actually decided that we're going to open up our own Indian restaurant as well, just to kind of showcase what you can do with Indian food and wine. So we opened up that restaurant again, yeah, in 2016, and it's also been doing really, really well. We keep all of our dishes on the menu, not mild, but I would say we don't cover them in heat. Where some Indian restaurants that you go to, it's spicy, and you have to make sure you to tell them that make it mild and make it mild. But that's not really what Indian food is supposed to be. Like if you go to someone's house or you go to India, the food it's got spice, but it's got like saffron,
Balance.
cardamom, and like
Right.
masalas and things. It's not essentially
Right.
supposed to be hot. So a
Right.
lot of the dishes that we keep on our menu are very intentional when it comes to the spice levels as well. The spices that we add to the food, it's not covered in hot sauce,
Well,
which is
I
what it
think
was to be terrible.
so. I think what you're saying is the layers of complexity, right? Around the spice, as in star anise or cumin,
Yeah,
coriander, those kinds of things isn't necessarily about cayenne pepper, right?
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
not that it needs to be hot, but it needs to have layers and layers like the wines that go
that's
with
just
it. So
that's just it.
so my experience is like Riesling has been, so first of all, Vikram, are you familiar with Vikram Vij?
You're very familiar. Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
used to actually. I don't know if you ever tried his Vidge's Lantern. It was his house wine that he served in his restaurants, and it was
Oh
actually
my.
produced by Kismet.
Well,
Yeah,
he's a Psalm and blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And yes, and he's a lovely man and he's very generous. So I think then your relationship that already exists is terrific because
Mhm.
I think he really shed a light on Riesling as a great pairing with spice and complexity of Indian food in Vancouver. And like, this is a world-class restaurant, famous beyond beyond, right? Like, just everybody knows this restaurant.
Vidge's, yeah.
Yes. And now we have you, and you're like, let me think about this. Okay, well, we're going to make, right? We're going to make a rosé in this style because it's going to go nicely with the pakoras that have like a few different ingredients in it to make it
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
And make it balance, make it complement each other rather than clash. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And to avoid the unpleasant pairing of a red wine that is
Dish
tannic
that makes
with
spice.
a spicy dish. Like, kill,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
terrible. But this is a great teaching opportunity, Like, here's why, and let's have fun. So, do you have one, like, are you doing winemaker dinners? You stand at the front, you.
We do about one every year. I've actually gone out and I've done winemakers dinners with Vidges and a couple of the restaurants down in Vancouver and Kelowna as well. But we do a lot of long table dinners that I attend in the fall. So we don't necessarily do just like one big one that's winemakers dinner. We do a series of dinners as well.
Okay.
And again, there was just lots of different themes, lots of different pairings, and we work together very well with the kitchen team to make sure the pairings work with the food, and it's always off menu items. So we do a lot of that in the fall once we have a bit more time.
So will that be at the winery then, as opposed to, so in other words, we travel to you and pitch a tent and stay overnight or sleep in our cars and
So we do all of our dinners on site at the restaurant. So everything's
okay.
in walking distance. We've got our tasting room here, the winery is here, and then the restaurant is on site as well. And when you mentioned sleeping and pitching tents, we're actually putting in accommodations on site here as well. So you can stay
Yay!
at Kismet, you can drink at Kismet, you can have your wedding at Kismet, and then you
You
can eat
can,
at Kismet. So we've got a
she's
lot
like,
going on. Yeah.
she's like
Yeah.
recruiting. If you want to come and work for Harvest at Kismet, you can
Yes.
do that
What a place for you to stay. Yeah, absolutely.
too.
We're very excited about the new accommodation project as well. There's not too many wineries here that have accommodations on site, so
Oh.
we feel that it's a huge need to just get people into the valley and get people come into the Okanagan because we need places to stay. So we're
Yes.
putting in 10 villa suites right across from the tasting room there, and it's a beautiful project. So I'm really excited for people to come and check it out, as well as a massive guest house that will be available for rentals for like wedding parties and event groups and that sort of thing as well. So lots of moving parts, lots of new and exciting things coming up.
Yay. Well, how big is the wine club?
Our wine club is quite large. We sit at about give or take like 500 to 600 members, and that seems to just be growing as well. So very excited about
But
that.
it's
Yeah.
also your people. Like, in other words, people that have made a commitment to you. And
That's just yeah, and we do we love our club members. We love doing special things for them as well. We always throw big pickup parties where we open up library wines and we have a good celebration for pickup parties. As well as all of our club members do get discounted event tickets because we do a lot of events here on site, and they will actually be getting discounted rates at the new villas when they open up as well. So we love to just feed back into our community in every way we can.
yeah, so when do you think the villas will be a completed project? Are you looking at next summer?
I mean, we're just about almost done. So we'll do a bit of a soft launch this year, depending on when we finish
Yeah.
up. We're just kind of waiting on, furnishing the place and getting all that up and going, getting our systems in place. But we should be good to go by like mid-August, I would estimate.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is so
very
exciting,
exciting.
honestly. Tourism, in Italy, it's the agriturismo, but like you can lean into that however you like. People dream about sleeping in a vineyard, about being in wine country. So I don't
That's
know.
just it. You like
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to brag, but the view from those villas, because we do have that little lake at our vineyard property here as well. So, waking up and then just walking out to that view where you overlook the vineyard and then there's a lake and then you get the entire view of Black Sage Bench. It's like, it's a picture of its own.
I can see why you maybe thought you could put nursing on the shelf and
Oh, yeah,
lean into this. Like it feeds your soul in a complete way, doesn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, it's rewarding in its own way, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know you have a bit of a deadline and we've chatted on, but I just want to tell you it's a great pleasure to have you here with
Thank
me
you.
and with everyone who is keen to hear more about Kismet, to celebrate your success, to sip, you know, these beautiful rosé wines, honestly. Where- I love that. I love that. It reminds me of the Perrier champagne label where they
Okay,
had, yeah, the so pretty.
thank
Anyway,
you.
so thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Uh,
Absolutely.
get back to work. Get back to work.
Right, get back. Thank you so
And
much.
and I wish you lots of success at Harvest because I know that that is huge and you're going to be busy for a couple months, so we probably won't see you, but I know you'll come out the other side and I'll look forward to hearing about your adventures and how that went. So take good care. And
Thank you so much. It's nice to meet
yeah, yeah,
you.
nice to meet you. And we'll chat again soon. All right, let me just, yeah, take care.
Bye.